And today, welcome this evening, my beautiful audience. I'm so happy today, privileged and honored because today is a very special show for me. Why? Because I've been uh, the pioneer one day by being a guest on a podcast, and I remember it felt very special, a little bit excited and nervous. And today, I'm very happy to host a beautiful soul, actually. Not actually, it is a beautiful soul. Michael Chen, my um, very first person who is debuting in my podcast. And I feel so honorable and privileged because he's so brave and he's a role model for so many things, actually. And I'm so really, really privileged that you are today with me, with us, and it's your absolutely first show. And I really hope and believe that the experience will be pleasant and joyful for you. And actually, we are here, actually, like we have already discussed with you a little bit before I push the record button. Like, you have just one day, just new breed, new. For me, every time new show with a new person, it's a little bit of new journey and way in life with this person. Like approximately maybe for 1 hour, but it's a short life, your and me kind of journey we are making together, right? Oh,
Yes,
I can
yes.
hear my dog. She's also probably talking to another dog and having her dog podcast. So I'm looking the window, closing the window. But anyway, welcome to the show. And
Thank you.
the podcast title today, I gave the name The Power of Honesty, Courage, and Radical Resilience. So,
Okay,
welcome
thank you.
and enjoy very much. And if you let me, I can continue with your introduction.
Yes.
So, welcome to the Diversity is the Game Changer, the podcast where we go beyond check boxes and buzzwords and labels and pretending, and we are diving deeply into the live lived experience that prove diversity resilience is not just nice to have, it's the engine of transformation. And today guest Michael,
Hmm.
you are a true embodiment of resilience and my role model as well. From enduring relentless bullying for over decades to surviving unthinkable trauma to struggling with mental health and identity, which I totally relate. I know exactly what you mean because I have the same. uh, I don't call it issues, but okay, deep experiences in my life.
Hmm.
So you has turned your pain into your purpose now, and I'm hoping that also by this show I can help a little bit to your purpose. And by turning your silence in your storytelling, you can make really a ripple effect for other persons, right? And united we are stronger. So welcome to the show where we can discuss today's survival, growth, and ultimately actually empowerment. And my very first question to you, please, let's talk about our roots and childhood, right? And
Okay.
childhood so important, and actually I don't think we consider importantly if enough until the special um, occasions arise in our life, grown up lives, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes, not sometimes, but some childhood really has its shadows, like yours and mine. So, can you please take us back to those early years? What did you feel? How was your childhood? And um, how all this experience shaped the person you are today? Thank you.
Well, I come from a immigrant family. I'm a first generation Taiwanese Canadian. I moved to Canada when I was roughly 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, been living here ever since. Uh, the and then the first 4 years of Canada, I I was kind of adjusting and I didn't. I mean, I didn't really know a a whole lot to actually be impacted it either positively or negatively in in any way. The first 4 years of living here, I was just trying to adjust to the pace, adjust to the culture, trying to um, uh, like trying to see where uh, like where I fit in. Uh, and then around 8 years old, or roughly, uh, yeah, I say around 8 years old was when I started noticing uh, classmates and others kind of making fun of me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that continued on in many forms from age of roughly 8, 7, 7 or 8, all the way to the end of high school, really. Um, and uh, along the way, quite a few things happened. I I I actually picked up my first tobacco cigarette when I was 8 years old.
8. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Um, I did it because I wanted, because I saw my dad doing it, and
Mm-hmm.
and like many other kids, we look up to our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for I and as a young boy, I looked up to my dad as a role model, as an example of what a man should be. I saw him smoking, and so I said, I'm gonna try it out.
Mm-hmm.
And just like when trying alcohol for the first time, I did not like it.
Okay. But did you like smoking at the year
Uh,
of 8?
no, 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 no.
No, but you still,
Uh,
you
but
know.
yeah, I did it because I wanted to mimic mimic my dad. I wanted to be like him. So uh I started copying what he did, copying his
Mhm,
mannerisms, kind of being his his mini me almost.
mhm.
Um, and uh, unfortunately, when I was about 13, I found out that my dad was having an affair.
Oh, okay.
So
So it was you who has discovered it, or it came on the family arena, or
uh, there were whispers, uh,
Mhm,
like every now and then, but but everything came to light when I was 13.
mhm,
Uh, when the whispers occurred, I kind of just blew it off. I kind of just ignored it as like, because in my mind, no way can a person that I was looking up to do something that would that would impact a a family dynamic in such a really negative way.
mhm,
But when I was 13, I found out, yeah, it's true, and that put a huge strain on our relationship for a good 12, 13 years.
mhm.
Uh, and the year before that, when I was 12 years old, I was the unfortunate recipient of sexual assault.
Of what? I'm sorry.
Sexual assault.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
Uh, and so at 12, I had what I I had what most kids have, which is innocence, but I had it I had it stripped from me.
Mm-hmm.
And at 13, I found out about my dad's affair. Uh,
You never
and
shared this episode with your father or with some grown-ups, no?
pardon?
I mean, what has happened to you at the age of 12, you have never shared what's happened
Oh,
to father or with
my,
grown-ups?
well, when it happened, uh, my immediate family knew about it because I told them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they didn't know how to handle it.
Okay, okay. So you
Uh,
didn't get any help, right? Not psychological help, no.
not not any help that would have benefited me
Yeah.
because I grew up because I grew up in a family. I'm the only boy in a family of six,
Oh.
youngest of four.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so my family did not know how to handle it from a from a when a boy experiences what many many girls have experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So they do not know how to handle it when a guy goes through it.
Okay.
And instead, they did what what they believed was right at the
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
which
And they,
was which
yeah.
was um, they were there for me in other ways, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, it was suck it up.
Okay. Okay. Maybe it was the tools they probably believed it was the best way to
Yeah,
handle. Sometimes they actually, our parents and grown-ups, they, like you have already mentioned, maybe they actually didn't know any better solutions. So
yeah.
yeah, but anyway, it was not much help for you. I understand it. Of course, oh my gosh, it was so traumatical, and of course, so much coincidence. I mean, not coincidence, impact on your whole life, right?
Yes.
Yeah, please continue.
So if you can imagine the kid who was being made fun of at school because he
Mm-hmm.
was trying to learn a second language. So the Asian accent was very strong.
Mm-hmm.
The grammar wasn't always accurate,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I also had a huge speech impediment, meaning
Mm-hmm.
I meaning for as a kid for me to read one paragraph, which is probably four sentences, it would take me 3 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was made fun of because of that as well. Uh, on top of that, to have to experience sexual assault, uh, no one besides my teacher knew knew what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and no one out, no one outside of my immediate family knew.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, after I left elementary school, I don't think I've told anyone until roughly 5 years ago about
Yeah.
about uh, uh, about what I went through. I've told no one my story, my my full story at least. Uh, may have told a few people bits and pieces of it, but no one knew the whole story. Uh, and and it's and the reason behind that is uh, uh, I cared more about what other people thought of me, what
Hmm.
other people might think. I was more focused uh,
The
on
judgment, right?
judgment. Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes. First of all, of course, Omega, thank you again so much for your honesty, and it's so deep, uh, painful experience that I understand when you have to go back even now.
uh-huh.
It's not easy. It's very difficult, and but sometimes to meet our demons face to face, actually, to it's how we can make them less. I know that from my OCD exposure therapy, it's just sometimes you cannot escape the fear or even the greatest pain of your life. You have to go back and face it and feel it and be with it.
Hmm.
And of course, I understand. I also know I'm making a lot of research and listening and reading that typical with when it's happening with kids, actually, we cannot share it because all kids, they kind of relate that if it's happened to them, somehow they, first of all, they feel shame.
Hmm.
They're ashamed, right? And somehow they relate that it's it's nonsense, but that they are actually kind of deserve it, or because they are not good enough, it's happened to them.
Hmm.
But actually, at that time, we are not cognitively, psychologically wise or actually evolved, developed to understand that, of course, we cannot take this responsibility on us. It's not us who are guilty, but we, unless we become grown ups like you are sharing now, that was just 5 years ago, you actually became maybe strong enough, wise, old enough to be able to dig and to go back, because now you as a grown-up persons can take responsibility and do something with that. I mean, on an emotional level, right? Because at that age, how could you ever possible know how to deal with that?
Right.
So thank you again so much for sharing your story, first of all, for 5 years ago, like you said, and now again, openly to the audience, because by that way, again, we can make a ripple effect and encourage other people to go through healing, because 5 years ago it was your point, but maybe some people has the same experience and they didn't reach yet this point, actually, when they are now ready to go back and face some, yes, tremendous pain, right? What was your turning point, like you said, 5 years ago? What, first of all, I understand that
Hmm.
you have survived by your strongest resilience the darkest time, but what was your really turning point that has happened 5 years ago? And
Mm,
you, yeah.
I just huh. My turning point was that I just started to see things differently.
Okay.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there's there's a quote by a very famous actress named
Mm-hmm.
Julia Roberts. The quote is, "If when a person truly loves you, they want you to be happy,
Yeah,
even if it's without them."
it's true. Yeah. If you love the person, set them free. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and so I thought about it as like, okay, then like if if I share my story and it makes other people uncomfortable, then it's nothing to do with me.
Mm. It's true.
I mean,
It's their approach. It's their, yeah,
it, it
projection
it
on.
it's their approach,
Mhm.
yes. But if it makes other people uncomfortable that I'm being this vulnerable, why? My question is why. Right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, I understand that men are supposed to be stoic, strong, but everything breaks.
Exactly.
Uh, and just because something appears to be strong doesn't mean that it doesn't break. Uh, and there's this concept, Japanese concept called kintsugi.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pottery art practice where it's been around for centuries,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where they take a a pot or a bowl that's been broken,
Mm-hmm.
and they put it back together with gold or silver lacquer.
Yeah.
So by putting it together with gold lacquer, it doesn't hide the imperfections; it showcases them. And
Mm-hmm.
because it's real gold that's been made that's been used to put it back together, it makes it more valuable than its original piece.
It's so beautiful. I've been reading about this technique actually,
Yeah,
and because I also into the art therapy, and I have the workshop, and I do and proceed a lot of emotions through creating something.
yeah,
So actually, and my bucket list and dream as well one day actually
yeah,
to do that, because I do use a lot of like special foil,
yeah,
golden foil, right? And I can like, okay, I can show you here now, for example, one plate I have made with this gold foil. It's like this, you see, like this.
yeah.
It's actually also golden foil, but you apply it from the
Right.
backwards, and you just, so I mean, like, it's also different part which also actually now shabby and worn, but it
Mm-hmm.
gives even more uh, meaning for me because it's so much used, right? So
Yeah.
so maybe one day actually you and me we can try together this beautiful technique. Have you actually tried it in real, or you just read like me, or you actually made it with your hands?
Uh, I've uh, I've read about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen I've seen videos on people doing it, but I have not done it myself.
Oh, cool. Then we have
Yeah.
agreement. Then one day we can make together maybe retreat or something, and one
Yeah.
class can be workshop that we can actually teach it together. It can
Yeah.
be really, because sometimes, or not sometimes, always actually, to involve all our five senses, it's so
Right.
undeniable impact. And we can relate, we can even make a wish that, like,
Yeah.
to make a special wish as a concept before this
Yeah.
workshop for me, you, and other persons present
Right.
and actually go through the whole spiritual path together with that. I think it could be a very nice idea.
Yeah.
Mhm. And about this, everything actually breaks. It's so true because maybe half years ago, before my very first ketamine therapy,
Uh-huh.
I was elaborating about being strong, resilient, especially when you have tough times, adversity, depression, with one psychologist, and she suggested me to look at myself from the new approach, probably not to be like a mountain or like a very hard wall, because
Uh-huh.
anyway, even hard walls, they can be broken, like you mentioned,
Right.
right? Because of the natural climates, or so many things can actually really break even the strongest wall. But
Right.
she gave me the comparison, if I could imagine myself as a bamboo, you know this
Right.
yoga is actually very beautiful bamboo, and he said
Yeah.
bamboo actually very, very strong. But what makes bamboo resilient, because it is extremely flexible and adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
So when something really hits the bamboo, it just really lays almost like flat to the
Uh-huh.
surface or the grass or earth. But when actually this pass through, which actually everything is passes through, so bamboo is coming back.
Yeah.
And then for me, it came like with a new approach, new perspective. Like, oh, okay, maybe I don't have to be actually this strong wall all the time, because then I can be broken. Maybe just even yes, sometimes I'm really so close. I'm so like this because of all this turmoil I have in my emotions. But still,
Mm-hmm.
the bad time and this bad weather or everything, like is finished one day, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Maybe also nice idea. Okay, but actually it's so about you, and tell me actually then a little bit more. Of course, I understand it was tremendous impact, influence
Mm-hmm.
from your childhood, and uh, which you unfortunately had to carry so many years of your grown up life. But what actually could you, what helped you, how you could survive and stay still resilient and strong,
Uh,
incredibly strong? You can even deny, or probably you can maybe sometimes don't see yourself like this, but this is true. And it's also like you said, it's for me, I believe it's also about diversity of approach and perspectives, like we
yeah.
have already
Uh,
exchanged, and also diversity of minds, that we all perceive information and everything what's happening around and inside us differently, right? So what are
mm-hmm.
your approach, what are you thinking? Because it's obvious for me that it has started and changed something, not maybe that much uh, with your out circumstances, which you could possibly change as well, but you never can go to one place without taking yourself, so you should start from here, right?
Yes.
So what was your um what is your reflection about how we proceed, how our minds can be differently and proceed everything we experience differently?
Uh, um, what what helped me get through my tough times
Mm-hmm.
was actually two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, I had a really good friend of mine who I met in high school. Uh, he introduced me to a church youth group,
Mm-hmm.
and through this church youth group, we would go to uh, the poor areas of Vancouver and give out food, give out clothes, help out the less fortunate, the homeless in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
And and at first, this started out as just a activity that I would do that filled maybe uh, that filled up my my nights as a kid,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because during my teen years, you did not want to be inside my head.
Mm.
Inside my head as a teen was not a very good place to be.
Yeah.
So this offered started out as a distraction for me.
Positive distraction. Yeah.
Yeah, and what started out as a distraction uh, slowly became a regular activity for me,
Mm-hmm.
and which I still continue to this day.
Wow, amazing. What a beautiful.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I, I can probably go as far as to say that this activity saved my life, because by the time this activity started when I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
by the time I was 17, uh, I had thought about ending it twice.
Yeah.
I had contemplated just quitting life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what what made me decide not to do it was two things. One, every single person who made my life miserable would win, and I hate losing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And two, it would devastate my family.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Uh, I I mean, I got to the point where I did not care anymore. But those two things, uh, those two things helped me not go through with it. So stubbornness and compassion.
Compassion. Yeah. I think stubbornness, yes, but kind of then again we can put this resilience, and then yes, it's compassion. It's the key word in so many religions, but mostly philosophies like
Yeah,
Buddhism, and yeah, compassion towards yourself, right? But we have to practice it. Are you practicing compassion regularly on the daily basis, or because it's like a muscle, it doesn't suddenly
no,
appear?
right. And going back to what you said earlier about about the bamboo analogy, I I see it differently.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I understand why it's it's good to be positive all the time. But the thing is, though, if it's always sunny, the only place in the world that's always sunny is the desert.
Yeah, and
Not
sun itself,
Yeah,
which
and
burns totally.
not
Yeah.
it's dry. Nothing grows there. There's no plants. There's no vegetation. It's it's heat 24/7.
Yeah.
In order for anything to grow, there must be rain.
Mm-hmm.
It must rain every once in a while. There must be storms that come through every once in a while. If you look at the rainforest compared to the desert, the
Mm-hmm.
rainforest is full of life. It's it's green. It's beautiful. Whereas the desert, dry. It's it's a very rough climate,
Hmm.
very difficult to survive in. But it's sunny 24/7.
It's so true, you know. Wow, what a powerful message! I really learned so much from you now. Oh my God, because I just never really compared those two things, and I didn't look at them from that perspective. So thank you so much. It's so wise and it's so useful for me as well, because
Yeah,
bamboo is actually in rainforest
yeah,
and it's biodiversity. That's why it's the thriving environment, right? But desert, it just desert. Nothing there. It's not no diversity, nothing which can support symbiosis
yeah,
growing together, and you know. So yes, it's sort of, but it's sunny all the time, and rainforest maybe not that much sun actually can go through, but really, really alive
yeah,
24/7.
yes.
Hmm. Beautiful, beautiful, powerful perspective. Um, we have touched already very important points: compassion and maybe stubbornness, but I would call
Hmm.
it resilience and care about your family.
Hmm.
Um, if we go a little bit further on compassion
Hmm.
and care about other people and towards ourselves, and speaking a little bit about cognitive diversity, that we are all so different wired, right? But still society, and many societies like school where you been experienced, like they kind of embrace neurotypical and like the normal average
Hmm.
mass, let's put it like this, and everything what and everybody who is different,
Hmm.
it's already like, you know, strange, not maybe good enough, not worthy enough, but people always are scared of something different, right?
Hmm.
And in a negative way. Unfortunately, still, even kids, they are so cruel towards somebody
Yeah.
who is not like them. Well, how do you believe we can actually create more inclusive and more compassionate society and environments that less and less kids, of course, the ultimate dream and wish nobody, but less and less kids can experience what you have been through? How we can help you and me, um, and give maybe the powerful example to be more compassionate and to be more inclusive. What do you
Well,
think?
I think that kids that the resources available today for, for kids who are going through similar situations that I went through, the resources that are available today are a lot more accessible than they
Mm-hmm.
were uh, 30
Mm-hmm.
years ago.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Yeah. Um, and uh, mental health, particularly, it's something that is not as stigmatized. There is still there's still a idea that if you're mentally unstable, there's still this picture of a person uh, of a person in a padded room wearing a straitjacket,
Yeah.
but that is not as that is not as dominant as it once was. That image is not as dominant as it once was. Um, uh, if you if you just look at the past 10 years, um, are you do you do you know there's there used to be this talk show. The what's it called? This talk show host, Ellen.
Pardon? Which one?
Ellen. Ellen.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, Ellen. Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you remember her her DJ?
Unfortunately, I was not that much into that show. I
Oh,
was
okay.
very much in opera and still very much in opera, but and other
Yeah.
people,
Okay.
but she was not
Um.
probably one of my priorities.
Oh, okay. Uh, Ellen had on, on her show a DJ that went by the name Twitch. His full name was Stephen Twitch Boss. On the show, he was outgoing, gregarious, like very positive, energetic. Uh, but he ended up taking his own life.
Mm. Oh,
He
yeah.
he
Such a tragedy for
yeah.
family and everybody. Yeah.
He left behind a wife and a child.
Mm.
Now the public image of Stephen Twitch Boss was that everything was good until we find out that that is not.
He was depressed maybe many years.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
being a man, he had a public image to uphold. Being a well-known celebrity on a well-known talk show, he had a
Mm-hmm.
public image to uphold. Being a husband, a father, he had a image to uphold. So while mental health, while the image of mental health and the stigma behind it is not as is is not what it once was.
Mm-hmm.
There's still this belief that if you're a man, you can't show it.
Yeah, that's so true. It is. It is.
Yeah,
You should be night hero. You yes, men never cry, all that stuff.
yeah,
So yes, still that kind of showing feelings. It's a weakness, and it's yes, all this nonsense.
yeah,
It's true. Though for me, I know by showing actually your vulnerability and weakness, it's actually showing how strong you are. But we are far from actually this perspective still. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Uh, I mean, if you well, Stephen Twitch Boss is just one example in the past 10 years. Um, there is also Robin Williams,
Yeah, yeah.
who openly talked about his battles with depression and alcoholism, drug addiction, uh, and for a and if you're a music fan and uh, are you
Avicii, I want to talk about Avicii DJ.
the DJ?
He was a DJ and
No,
he made the music. His nickname was Avicii.
Avicii. Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
The name sounds uh, name sounds very familiar. Yeah,
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 many really, yes, kind of. If you don't know, well known, successful, happy,
right.
satisfied with all accomplishments.
Yeah,
Man, yeah, we
and
have to raise awareness. We have uh, to go to roots of that and start facing this not just touch a bit surface. Ah, it just happened, just with one, just with no.
Yeah.
It's much deeper
Right.
problem. It is, and people still are afraid to talk openly about that. Yes, particularly in some religion and in some countries and in some traditions and norms that it's a shame for the whole tribe and family and family of the family. Like, you can never be real and feel that, because then you put shame on so many generations. Or
Yeah. The There's still this belief that men are supposed to be men,
Mhm.
but those words can be interpreted in many ways.
Yeah.
Uh, Going back to music, there there was also uh, the lead singer, the former lead singer of Linkin Park,
Mm-hmm.
Chester Bennington,
Mm-hmm.
uh, who also took his own life.
Mm-hmm.
But the very last video that was aired of him was him trying out like a very sour candy for the very first time with family and friends, and his facial reaction was very natural, but on the outside it seemed like everything was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was he was joking around. He was laughing, having fun, and that was the very last very last recording of him. Actually, the day the video was recorded, uh, the day after he went home and took his life.
Mm-hmm. If we can mention, I'm sure, more and more and more such
Yeah.
huge humanity tragedies. If you could, from your experience, could give a couple of advices to actually our young generation, to these teenagers, especially
Uh-huh.
boys,
Uh-huh.
which are raised now in, let's say, totally different digital era, and
Mm-hmm.
has the one from one place, it's nice, they have access to so much, but it's also a dilemma, because sometimes it's too much and too early and without boundaries, which also so much noise and stress
Mm-hmm.
uh, put them on the nervous system, and it's quite young still and shaky. So what would your recommendations and kind advice would be to these young boys today?
Remember that you're human. Human beings are emotional by default.
Mm-hmm.
Picture a picture, if you will, a row of glasses. Each glass has a label that says happy, sad, angry, uh, has every single emotion that a human goes through.
Mm-hmm.
A row of glasses has, and with each glass has every single emotion that a human goes through labeled on it. Now, if now society says if you're a man, you cannot pour into this glass, you cannot pour into this glass, you cannot pour into this glass.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be sad, you cannot be depressed. You can only be happy. You can be frustrated, you can be stressed,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but you cannot be sad, you cannot be depressed, you cannot be anxious, you cannot be that. You cannot pour into these glasses. What do you think happens to all the other glasses? It gets poured more, and the water overfills.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine that happening to a human being. We cannot show this kind of emotion, so we focus on that kind of emotion. And the more we focus on that kind of emotion and ignore this emotion, what happens? We become emotionally unbalanced, which is
Mm-hmm.
not healthy. Human beings are emotional by default. Do not shame yourself for being human. That's what I did for many years, and it did not work.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Very, very powerful. Thank you so much for this wish and so deep wisdom which you have experienced and lived through so many years. No, usually I wrap it up with some jokes and actually some games and more like a little bit uplifting tones. But today, actually, I don't want to play with
Mm-hmm.
the subject we even discussed, and you already gave this very powerful message, which I'm joining fully, absolutely. That yes, even now more and more the AI and tech is
Mm-hmm.
overtaking our brains, minds, time, feelings, everything. We have to come back to our roots and understand and remember that we are humans, and it's okay to be not okay. It's totally
Mm-hmm.
even okay to share that and
Mm-hmm.
ask for help. You don't need to sit alone with that, and we need to practice
Yeah.
self-compassion.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god, thank you so much. So I believe you and my friend Michael, we can close with the message to our audience, to all who is battling their personal demons, that no,
Mm-hmm.
you're not alone. You can
And reach
always
out.
reach out to me,
Reach
reach
out.
out to
Yeah.
Michael.
Reach out for help. Reach out to someone. It doesn't have to be a professional. It doesn't. Therapy. It doesn't have to be four walls and a couch. It could be a friend. It could be music. It could be writing. Therapy comes in many different forms. But do something that adds peace to your life. That is the definition of therapy. Add peace to your life.
Yes, add peace to your life. Thank you again so much. I really deeply, immensely appreciate your being here. It was very powerful episode, being also your first one. I really, really trembled and honored and privileged
Mm-hmm.
for every second we stand together. So your story really reminded that the most powerful voices actually are often the ones who tremble before they spoke, like we
Yeah.
have compared the desert and rainforest. Thank you for courage, your truth, your commitment to turn pain into the purpose, to be a role model. So, and please, who all who is listening now, if this episode moved you, inspired you, share it with a friend, colleague, someone who needs to know they are not alone. Please do that. Thank you so much again for staying with us, and remember that you are not alone.
You're never
Until
alone. No,
thank you, Mike. And
thank
I
you.
wish you much, much luck. And if you need any help, I'm always here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
And bye bye.
Bye bye.